were able to return fire, striking at least one of the suspects. Both officers have been transported to an area hospital with what's believed to be non-life-threatening injuries. The suspect's also been transported to an area hospital. He's currently in critical condition. At this time, we have an active search for at least one additional suspect. Later this afternoon, as more information becomes available, we'll do an official news conference, and I'll advise you time and location on that as it becomes available.
Has an assault rifle been recovered?
I don't have any information on the weapons or anything that's been recovered at the scene.
Tell us what you guys are doing right now. Obviously, there's still a search for a suspect.
Right now, we have a ongoing search for a suspect. We have K-9 on the ground. We have aerial support overhead, and we're currently working an active track at this time.
Is there a description of the person you're looking for?
Not at this time, I do not.
Did you say both officers were able to return fire?
The officers were able to return fire, yes.
Both of them are just one or hard to tell?
I'm sorry?
Both of them returned fire or just one or hard to tell?
I don't have that information at this time.
How many suspects are we looking for, Steve?
One officer was shot in the thigh and the other one was shot in the calf.
In the calf?
Yes, sir.
And how many suspects are we looking for?
We're looking for at least one suspect.
At least one?
What was the initial call that the officers provided?
Home invasion, armed robbery.
Were there any other folks in the apartment? Anybody else involved with this incident?
The residents were there, but exactly who was inside, how many, I don't have that
Was it
information.
the residents in the apartment that called the 911 that was being invaded?
I don't know who placed the call.
Captain, can you describe the scene when they pulled up and what they were going into when they came under fire?
They were just approaching the location. They didn't have any indication at the time of where the suspects were. As they began to approach, they took on fire.
And then they were both exchanging gunfire, the suspect and the police.
There was an exchange of gunfire between the suspects and the officers.
Steve, did a robbery take place at...
One of them's currently in surgery, and the other one is alert and conscious.
Captain Fore, have any of the residents...
Do you know if they're rookies or veterans? How long they've been in the department, do you know?
They're relatively young officers with the department, yes.
Captain Fore, has anybody from the apartment complex said, I saw this guy, he was this tall, this short? Has anybody been able, at the time when people are going to work, anybody been able to say anything to help narrow down the description?
I don't have any information that the detectives have been able to get at this time.
Was there actually, Steve, was there actually a robbery?
It was a reported home invasion.
Reported, but did you actually have a robbery victim?
There was residents in the location, yes.
Okay, Captain, do we step back up to the mic again? All right.
There's a second scene at Home Depot. Does that have anything to do with this at all?
We don't know at this time whether it's going to be related or not.
Okay, so you guys are investigating that just...
Area, are they safe to walk around?
We've sent out a code red to those that have registered, advising them what we're doing in the area. Basically, we do have the crime scene, the search area contained, and there is a lot of officers on the scene, so
Are schools on lockdown?
they are the ones in there.
Last check, there were 4 on lockdown. Has that number increased?
It has not increased, no.
Are you releasing the officers?
No, sir, not at this time.
In terms of what you're advising residents, are you telling them to stay indoors in the search area, or what's the specific advice you're giving them?
Yes, if you see anything is suspicious, please call 911, anybody you don't recognize. But right now there's a lot of police activity in the area. You'll see a lot of uniformed officers and presence.
You're seeing a number of agencies in the area. Can you tell us some of the agencies that are here so far?
We have some help from Georgia State Patrol, Marshal's Office, Sheriff's Department, even some APD.
Captain, you're saying one or more suspects? There could be more than one?
At this time, we're saying at least one.
At least.
Yes.
The suspect who is wounded, was he wounded at the scene where the officers approached? Was he shot there?
Yes, he was wounded at the scene.
Is it clear whether he was struck by police fire or his own fire?
I don't know for certain at this time.
Can you give us a sense of how, just the proximity to the apartment complex for the unit that was, where the person was being robbed versus where the officers were when they made contact and they engaged in fire?
I don't have that.
Like in the middle of the parking lot, closer to the...
I don't have that information. I don't know the proximity.
Captain, do you know if your officers were able to even get out of their vehicle before they came under fire?
I don't know.
Steve,
Keeping us listening live to Captain Stephen Fore with the DeKalb County Police Department, updating the breaking news. 2 DeKalb County officers shot and wounded. We learned in the last couple of minutes that one of those officers is in surgery. The other is said to be alert and conscious, which is the most encouraging news we've heard so far about their condition. Also, we learned a little bit more about what happened, that the officers were responding to a report of a home invasion and armed robbery. And as Captain Fore explained it, as soon as they arrived, they were fired upon. And that exchange fire, they were able to shoot and injure one of the suspects. They believe one more is on the loose. So as we heard, as soon as they approached that apartment, apparently they were fired upon. We also learned the officers were relatively young officers in the department, but they were fired upon once they got to the apartment building. The good news is that one officer is alert and conscious. The other one is in surgery, and they should be okay. Still an active search for a suspect out there going on right now. We'll keep you updated on this on WSB-TV.com, our live stream, as well as Facebook and Twitter, as well as Channel 2 Action News at noon. But right now, we'll return you to regular programming and also invite you to come join us at WSB-TV.com for live streaming coverage of this continuing search for a suspect involved in 2 officers being shot.